Today I'm going to show you how you can perform a basic vulnerability assessment of your Linux or Unix based machine. You can perform this, you can use this tool on basically macOS, BSD, Linux and other Unixes. So in order to do that, first we have to download lynis. So this is the Git URL for downloading lynis. So I have already downloaded it from the Git repositories. I will put the link in the description. So if you want to run through the source code, or if you want to download lynis, you can go through that. So if we go to lynis, we can see here we have lynis. So lynis can perform multiple operations, such as it can check your default configurations, it can check for your packages. Like if a vulnerable package is found inside your system, lynis will give you a report, and also it will give you like your system hardening index. So in order to use lynis, you can use sudo /lynis. So if you do that, lynis will ask this and hit enter to continue. So in order to perform a scan, here we can see we can use audit system for auditing the current system which you are working. So if you want to do a remote scan, or if you want to scan a Docker file, you can use the following commands. So audit system remote, and if you specify the host, lynis will perform an audit on that system. If you do audit Docker file and specify the file path, it will analyze the Docker file. If your lynis version is out of date, you can check your lynis is up to date or not. So because we downloaded lynis from the Git repositories, ours is currently up to date, so we don't need to do that. So in order to scan, you can use sudo /lynis space audit space system. If we do that, it's going to ask us this, and if we hit enter, it's going to perform a scan. So first it's going to ask for, like, it's going to check our OS version, OS kernel version, OS name, your host name, all this information, your hardware architecture, all this information will be displayed, and a log file will be exported to /var/log and lynis.log. So it's going to perform this scan. So it's going to check all the modules which it have by default. It's going to check some plugins which is having, like, which is available by default. If you want to run custom plugins, you can also do that. So it's going to perform a full scan, and it's going to give you a report like something like this. If it's having a suggestion, it's going to give that. If your some security measure is weak, it's going to tell you it's weak. So you can run through all those things. For example, if you have like enabled root access to SSH, like if someone can log into your system as root by using SSH, it's going to tell you, like, it's going to give you a suggestion for that. Now I haven't enabled network for this system, so it's going to tell me it cannot find the current status of the packages which I'm having. So this is a CentOS machine, so it's going to check the DNF package manager. Toolkit for automatic updates not found because I don't have an internet connection right now. If you have like any authentication services, or if you are having like LDAP or something enabled, it's going to perform a check for that also. So you can see LDAP services checking for open LDAP instances, but for this system I don't have any of those systems. Like if you have like a PostgreSQL database or something like that, or MariaDB or something, it's going to give you information on that database engine. Because this is like a minimal CentOS 8 stream install, it's not going to do any of those things because I don't have all those services enabled. So for this system, what I have done is like I have just installed the minimal CentOS stream and I have installed the GNOME session. So it's going to be like relatively minimal install. As far as stability, CentOS stream is stable. So it have completed the audit. So it's telling you lynis version which we have used is 3.0.3, I'm sorry. So it's giving you this hardening index. So this is like the value. If it's 100, your system is like highly secure. So mostly above 60 is considered secure. So by default your Linux distribution is going to come with 60 or 62, something like that, your hardening index. It's going to tell you number of tests performed. It's going to tell you the number of plugins which have been enabled in Lynis. So by default Lynis is having like 2 plugins enabled. It's going to check whether you have firewall enabled or like malware scanner. For example, you can use check rootkit, RK Hunter or ClamAV. So if you have that, it's going to check that. So if it's not up to date, it's going to report you all those things. So if you want like more scans, you can do a normal scan. If you want to do a forensic scan, you can do that. If you want to do like a light pen test, it can also perform, Lynis can also perform that. So it's going to give you all the suggestions over here. If you go up, it's going to give you all the suggestions like disable drivers like USB storage when not in use. So it's going to give you a link which will give you some information on how to do that if you don't know how to do it by yourself. For example, if it told you like your root access to your SSH is enabled, you can disable that by using your favorite text editor. You can go to HC directory, you can go to SSH followed by SSHD config. If you go inside SSHD config, you'll have this section which will tell you like permit root login. So if you have yes over here, your root login through SSH is enabled. So it is basically, as a security practice, it is recommended to change this value to no. Instead of by default you are going to have yes over here. So it's recommended to change this to no if you don't want root access to your SSH. So we are going to quit out of that. So that's how you can perform a basic Lynis scan to audit your system. I hope that was helpful.